Okay, to reformat your flashboard then, in other words, to get rid of all the samples that are on there and start over from scratch, so you have a clean slate, you press the File button, you press the Flash button, the F6, which accesses your flashboard, and then you simply press SF1, which is correspondent to Format, and then you press the Enter button, and it will say, are you sure, no, or exit, or yes, and then to do that you press the Enter button. Now I'm going to show you how to load different single voices from multiple libraries into your Moxf in order to make your own custom bank or library of your favorite sounds. Let's say that you've already gone through the voices in the brass library that we have just gone over, and you cherry-picked a couple of voices from that, and then you made your list and you reformatted your flashboard, and you decided to try out the string library. You loaded all that in as an AW file. You made your note of the string voices you want from that library. You reformatted your flash module again, and now you're ready to make a new custom library using just a few voices from each of the libraries that you've auditioned. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press the File button, and I'm going to press F3, which is Load. Now I have the 3 libraries from which I want to draw single voices. I have my file type is going to be set to one voice. I go over here to this first library from which I want to load voices. This is the brass library. I press the Enter button. I press the Bank button where the voices in the brass library reside. In this case, they reside on User Bank 4. And now I have my list of voices in the brass library from which I can cherry pick the voices that I want to load in. So I really like that first trumpet voice. And so I'm going to be loading everything now to User Bank 3. Remember, file type is just set to voice, single voice. And I've got User Bank 3. I've got location A1001. This is where this voice is going to go. So now I've got selected. I press the SF1 button, execute, and it loads the voice. You should see in a few seconds that it is burning the waveform onto the flashboard. Because remember, this voice is bringing in with it associated special samples that are not in the machine. They're new samples. Now we see that it's now installed into the flash memory module. That means it's burning the samples that belong to this voice onto the flash memory module, onto the flashboard. When that process is completed, we'll see completed, and we'll be returned to the file screen. It says completed. Now we can simply just go press the voice button again to make sure and there it is. Okay, so now I know that I want to load a single voice from the string library. I've already auditioned all that entire library, and I've selected a voice I want to now load back into my slot on my custom library I'm assembling here. So I press File. I select the name of the library, which is string. I press Enter. I know that the voices for this library, again, are on User Bank 4. Remember, it was a Motif XF library, not a Moxf library. So the Motif XF has 4 user banks, and therefore the library voices here are located in User Bank 4. I press Enter. I get my list of new sounds from this library. I scroll down to Violin VB1. There's the one I want to load. I'm selecting User Bank 3 002 or A02 as the destination, the target slot which I'm going to load it to. I press SF1 execute, and it loads the voice. Now I have my trumpet that I loaded from the brass library on a user bank 3A1, and on A2 I have my violin that I loaded from the string library. Okay, now here's the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to load from the Vintage Keys library. I have an electric piano sound that I want to load in. I'm going to put it in this next slot. So I press File. Again, I'm still in voice mode, meaning I'm going to load a single voice. I scroll down to the name of the library from which I want to draw the voice, which is Vintage Keys. I press Enter. Again, I go down to User 4. I press Enter. And I'm going to load this electric piano sound. It's called Babe. It's from the Styx song Babe. It's a Rhodes sound. I've got that selected. I'm going to put it in User 3 slot 003. And I'm going to press Execute. Now, in this case, there are no samples to load in because this voice accesses the samples that are already on board the Moxf. But you don't have to worry about that. If it's not got any new samples to load, the Moxf is smart enough to know that it doesn't have to worry about it. So just press Execute. And now you can see that quickly loaded. I press Voice, and there I am, already on User 3A3. And I have now my custom library, which consists of the trumpet, which uses flashboard samples, the violin, which uses flashboard samples, and the electric piano, which uses preset wave-rom samples, which are not on the flashboard. Okay, so now let's say I did this for several times, but I'm just not gonna load in any more voices. I'm gonna save this now as my own special custom library. So I press File. I change the type to All. I press F2 Save. I want to make sure that since this library is going to need its associated samples, remember we burned some samples to the flashboard, we want to make sure that these samples get saved with the library. I have with sample checked on, and I've got my name is already set here. I made the name custom. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and execute. Now it is saving with the samples. There are the sample names showing up on the screen, proving that it is saving the associated samples that belong to this custom library, along with the voices. Now it is saving the voices. And that's all there is to it. We have now created a custom library using voices from different libraries assembled into one composite file.